It's interesting to see that Bitcoin is 10% away from all time highs. And it's been rallying, and the IBIT ETF received inflows, I think just yesterday, about $500 million into the ETF. And we see here Bitcoin just skyrocketing, rallying, and just outperforming this year. And reason I bring that up is because it's so funny, because I often hear from few realtors, right? And maybe not all realtors um, are like this, but I've heard many realtors come out, bash Bitcoin, and say Bitcoin's not good. You shouldn't invest in Bitcoin. It should be in real estate. And what are you talking about? Buy a house, buy a property. That's much better because it's going to outperform this year. Well, if you look at the performance of real estate versus Bitcoin, that was not true, right? We didn't see that crazy 100% return like we did during COVID time in real estate. We didn't see bidding wars all over again, although maybe some people may claim certain properties that they were selling, there were some bidding wars, right? But the fact is, nobody's out there going aggressive on real estate unless it's a really, 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 really good deal, unless it's engineered to get, you know, unless the realtors engineer a way to manipulate and create a bidding process by bringing down the price real low and causing a flock of people to come in, whatever the case may be, right? If you look at it from an overall standpoint, that with high interest rates, with where we are in the markets, with where we are in terms of the jobs and opportunities, the cost of living, the inflation, the taxes, etc., 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 the uncertainty ahead. I mean, it hasn't led to any boom in real estate except for Bitcoin. And again, I bring this up because I had a specific realtor come to me and tell me that no, you're wrong. Bitcoin is shitty and don't invest in it. It's garbage. You got it completely wrong and you're going to lose it all. Well, let's take a look at that. This is where Bitcoin's at right now. It hit the 62, 63K mark. We are literally 10% from all time highs. And in my strategy sessions, I do a private strategy sessions with the Infovest Discord community group. We talk about crypto markets. We can actually cover every market: stocks, bonds, commodities, currencies, crypto, macroeconomics, what's going on, oil, etc. What you can expect, and we look at these markets and we say, okay, where we could expect some demand, some inflows, and where some of these asset prices could lead to, according to the different shifts in monetary policy, fiscal data, economics, etc., etc. If you're interested in that, feel free to leave me a message, and I can send you the sign up link. But take a look at this chart. 10% away, actually no, 7% away from where it hit around the 63, 64 mark, 7% away from all-time highs, right? Crazy, crazy move, right? And if you got the bottom here, this move itself was about this is about 289%. So almost 300%, right? If you didn't even catch the bottom, let's just say you didn't catch that, right? Let's say you saw this, you saw a nice pullback, even this itself, 140%, right? So crypto land, crypto world, it's popping up again. Pretty interesting, pretty cool. But anyways, we're not here to talk about crypto and Bitcoin today. I kind of got distracted here. Wanted to talk about the immigration that's been going on. I wanted to bring in this article here. Comes out from Better Dwelling. Canadian immigration slows further as permanent resident applications crater. Now, again, that same realtor was telling me that Bitcoin is garbage and crypto markets is garbage and blah, 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 was telling me that the immigration inflow is what's going to cause the property markets to skyrocket. My only question is that, okay, fine, immigration does bring in growth in the economy, does bring in, prices and property values to go up. But what if that's not the story, number one? Or if it is, what if there's no opportunities and jobs? What if these immigrants coming in can't even make ends meet and struggling to save a penny? How are they going to buy a house? Maybe they'll just live in rent for all their lives until they realize they got to get the hell out. And maybe just get their PR from the government and then leave. And I actually know and hear people who are doing that, who are coming here, getting their PR, and then just leaving. Be like, there's no opportunities here. Why should I be here? Job market's difficult. The pay is not good enough. Even if the pay is high, it doesn't even cover most of the cost of living because it's very expensive. The taxes are eating up. The mortgage or the rent and the grocery bills, it all add up, right? Rule of thumb that they say you want to have your housing cost at least 30% of what you make. Yet people here are doing 50% or more. And then imagine when it comes to the renewals of some of these interest rates that some people have, going from 2-3% to all of a sudden, let's say 6% or higher. What is that going to do? Especially with food at home, food at grocery restaurants, etc. They're still elevated. Groceries are marking up their prices higher. I covered that in a in one of my videos on covering Canadian CPI. You could check that out. How groceries, you got these grocery chains marking up their prices 10% when certain areas have declined in terms of the commodities and the farming and agriculture and etc. But by the time it comes to the grocery stores, they're marking it up. So higher cost for you to get food. So anyways, I digressed. Let's get back to this again, this article here. Canadian immigration slows further as permanent resident applications crater. Okay. So the government of Canada, IRCC data for December shows a drop in permanent resident applications. It follows a weak end to the year that saw much weaker growth than many had anticipated. The drop wasn't exclusive to countries Canada has recently experienced tensions with either, but it appears to be a broad decline as opportunities Canada offers go under microscope. Right? People are thinking the opportunities there, are they really benefiting me? Right? A lot of people are thinking that certain provinces like Ontario, you need to get out and go to maybe Alberta, what have you. Again, like I said, I spoke to someone who said that they're thinking of leaving Ontario and going to another province and maybe finding a job there for some time, get a PR, and then if they can, maybe go back to Ontario if the opportunities are there, or maybe just completely leave. Canadian permanent resident applications dropped 73%. Canadian applications for permanent residency have suddenly cratered. The IRCC saw a 73% to just 16,000 applications in December. It was the third consecutive month to report an annual drop, with less extreme declines observed in November, which was negative 30%, and October, negative 25%. September, plus 6%, also managed to log very weak growth considering Canada's targets and the growth proceeded, right? Again, right? Let's go back to many of these realtors who came out and said, guess what? We're going to see the economy is going to do fine. We're going to see growth. We're going to see immigrants coming. They're going to come and buy all the properties. This is literally telling you right here, and we're seeing it also. We're covering it on this channel as well. The growth, the GDP, the job market. We're seeing decline in growth in Canada, leading to slowdown in the job market, leading to, there you go, a drop in the applications. This was the biggest consensus in Canada last year, right? In 2022, 2023, and I don't know if it still is right now, but I could guess. I'd still say, yeah, you have realtors still pushing this idea that the applications, the immigration is going to be hot, going to be hot, going to be hot. That was the consensus, across wide of all the realtors and everyone out there. And look at this, you got the complete opposite, right? You got a decline happening, not an increase. Shift in applications were very abrupt. Looking at annual growth highlights how abrupt the change in the direction was over the past year. Canada managed to still grow 10% to 317,000 permanent resident applications in 2023. However, it expected to be much larger year over year, monthly growth surging as high as 96% in May. So even though people are still coming, but we are still seeing the growth slow down quite significantly. And when you look at this chart here, the Canadian permanent resident applications are slowing. 12-month change for permanent resident applications Canada received. You could see from January all the way to August, you had this nice kind of positive numbers, inflow coming in, and all of a sudden September was, from September and onwards, really from October, you've got a decline in the applications, right? So as mentioned here, between January to August last year, applications were a whopping 50% higher than previous year. Over 4 months, the drag was substantial enough to drop the rate by 40 points. This momentum continues into the current year. The country may see a rare annual decline, right? Again, assessing the situation, what's happening here. Globally, we are seeing a slowdown in growth. We're seeing the recession slowly show its teeth, and it will be more visible as the months go by. You just watch. Rising tensions aren't the only reason immigrants are coming. Canada's eroding relationships with key sources of immigrants is certainly contributing to the issue. The largest source of permanent resident applications remains India, though applications declined 62% in December, if followed by Nigeria negative 32%, China negative 81%, to round out the top three. However, it's important to note that the decline wasn't just those countries. The government of Canada saw declines in applications from all but 6 countries in December, the largest of those 6 being this one. I'm not going to really pronounce that. The source of whopping 9 applications with such few growth areas. The decline in the applications in much more complicated than just rising tensions between Canada, China, and India. As previously discussed, immigration experienced a hiccup as far back as May. This is when living conditions, there you go, living conditions international students experience became magnified in the public after it was revealed dozens of students were victims of scams. I mean, I covered this before too. I mean, how much more do I need to get into this? Do you remember the video that I talked about where immigrants were coming in, these students were coming in, they were promised a program with living, a place to live, and so on. And when they got there, the schools told them, oh, we are overbooked and we don't have a place for you. And what did they do? They set up camps. They were in tents outside in the cold in front of the schools because these schools didn't manage it properly. The government didn't manage it properly, and this started to blow up everywhere, right? Their own home countries, like for example, mentioned here, like India, start talking about what's going on in Canada, right? the capacity, the ability of the government to navigate this properly, as you can see, is poorly managed. The ability to get more housing out there in this country, poorly managed. The ability to take the tax dollars and utilize it and give incentives and pour that into maybe the housing market, into rent. Again, poorly managed, not being done well enough, causing people to rethink whether it makes sense to come into Canada. And that's why you're seeing this slowdown here. Let me also bring up this other article here, talk about Ontario. Ontario EI, right, surges by almost 1/3, the highest jump since seen in any province, right? EI is employment insurance, right? You go on EI if you lost your job, you need some money from the government. More than 300,000 full-time jobs in Ontario have disappeared since July, according to Stats Canada, not according to TikTok. Stats Canada, right? This is from the government. Now, this article is locked. I can't read it. But this, it basically gets into how you're seeing more of the job market become smaller and smaller, and you're having these immigrants come in and finding it a difficult time to find jobs. Because look, especially in Ontario, right, the EI is surging, 300,000 full-time jobs disappearing. What did I say before, right? What did I say in my previous videos? The growth declining, GDP declining, recession, jobs declining, right? Hence, why you see also the Canadian CPI report decline, inflation slightly decline, right? Although certain areas are still sticky and high, like we talked about, shelter, right? But you're seeing that decline because of the growth. So when you have, again, those realtors or anyone else who come out and say, hey, look, CPI is great, buy a home, rates coming down, not to worry. Well, what does that mean? CPI is coming down, inflation is coming down, prices coming down. It's all from the effects of the slowdown. So the high prices inflation that was experienced during the COVID time, right, was all the boom, was all the money printing, all the money pumping, right, all the euphoria that was going on, wiped out, gone, and it's going. And now you have the reverse. And now you have people celebrating that. And I'm here telling you that's not to celebrate, because the effects, the reason of that is coming from situations like this, situations from job losses, situations of decline, situations of immigration slowing down. And you will see in about a year's time how this progresses. Anyways, that's all I'm going to say for today. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment below, subscribe, hit the like button, bell icon to be notified on the next video, and I'll see you guys around. Cheers. Bye.